Granted bail to the senator representing Borno South, Ali Ndome. Senator Ndome has been in detention since Monday, the 23rd of November, over his suretyship for former Pension Reform Task Team Chairman Abdulrasheed Maina, who had jumped bail. But Justice Okon Abang, who granted the bail, said the decision was based on the senator's record of good behavior in court. The bail was granted to the senator pending the hearing and determination of his appeal filed at the Court of Appeal challenging his remand. He ordered the senator to produce one surety who must be a resident of Abuja and present evidence of ownership of property anywhere in Abuja. According to the judge, the surety must also depose an affidavit of means to indicate his readiness to forfeit the bail guarantee should the senator also jump bail. Senator Ndome had been remanded at the Kuje Correctional Center for failing to produce the former pension task team boss. He had stood as surety for Mr. Maina, who is standing trial for alleged money laundering charges. However, Mr. Maina has repeatedly failed to appear in court for the continuation of his trial. Consequently, in a bench ruling delivered by Justice Abang on November the 3rd, the court ordered his remand pending the fulfillment of his bail bond, which is a forfeiture of 500 million naira to the federal government. The court had also empowered the federal government to sell Senator Ndome's property at Asokoro in order to recover the 500 million naira bond. Justice Abang added that Senator Ndome will be released from Kuje once he is able to pay the 500 million naira or if the prosecutor is able to dispose of the property and payment made to the federal government. Importers and exporters of goods to ports in Lagos area will soon heave a sigh of relief on time spent around the Lagos ports to clear out their cargo. This assurance is coming from the Managing Director of the Nigerian Ports Authority, Hadiza Usman, in an interview with Channels Television. She explains some of the bottlenecks encountered in the process of cargo clearance, overtime cargo, congestion, and the auctioning process. The NPA boss added that the agency is working towards achieving an electronic call-up system for trucks, a project that will be coordinated by the agency in partnership with stakeholders and the Lagos state government. It's prime time in Lagos, and State of the Nation starts right now. You're welcome to State of the Nation. I'm Lumide Macaulay. Now, the Nigeria Customs Service says the newly introduced e-customs system will no doubt fast-track the operation of customs. Speaking with Channels Television, the service spokesman, Deputy Controller Joseph Atta, explains that the new system is in line with global best practices. Let's take a listen.
E-custom is normal. It's first and foremost, it's a custom project. It's in line with the World Customs Organization's framework of standards that encourages every customs administration in the course of its modernization to seek collaboration with experts and seek technology that will help it modernize its administration. So what is e-custom? E-custom is simply end-to-end automation of the customs processes and procedures. It is a concept of complete automation of all customs activities using emerging technology that will ensure global best practices. That's what it's all about. And it is a PPP arrangement. A consortium of firms, we fund this project for a period of 20 years to the tune of $3.1 billion. And they are always going to recoup their money gradually within this agreed period of 20 years. Some people have even gone to say, are we sure that the money will not be mismanaged, as if this 3.1 billion is one cash that the federal government has pulled and say, take. No! There's no money on ground. It is the consortium that will source for its fund and fund the process. And the key component of e-customs will include installation of scanners at all entry points, trade facilitation, capacity building for custom officers who are supposed to be the drivers of the e-customs. It will entrench a culture of a new culture of better efficiency. Transparency will be completely entrenched because everything is automated. Every vice that is committed is traceable to who did what. Security, national security will be boosted because installation of scanners mean boosting the capacity of customs to ensure, to know, to monitor what comes in or goes out. So those things that can compromise our national security will be detected, unlike before. Non-intrusive equipment, the more we have of them, the less will be the time we take to examine and clear things, which will bring about trade facilitation, shortening the time to do business in Nigeria, increase in revenue collection, and all that. Ultimately, we are on our road to making Nigeria a desired investment destination.
And joining us on State of the Nation today for more perspective on the maritime industry and as it affects e-customs as well is Engineer Greg Ogbeifo, who is the former president of the Ship Owners Association of Nigeria. You're welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, Mr. Macaulay.
It's a very
I'm glad to be with you here.
Likewise. It's a very sensitive time. A pandemic has caused, one of the reasons for the recession, as has been explained by the government. So, but also with that, keeping that in mind and knowing that the economy has to move forward and taking this particular aspect of the maritime industry into cognizance, how well has the maritime industry fared in your view?
Well, I think considering the present circumstances, the industry hasn't done too badly. Like everything, there's always room for improvement. The important thing is to ensure that at every stage, we are making attempts to improve on how we're doing things. And I think the e-commerce is a very good initiative that I believe will eliminate some challenges that the importation process is experiencing. Now, the e-commerce, the e-customs method is going to obviously bring about transparency, eliminate some unscrupulous acts that hitherto has given the system a bad name. But more than that, I think we need to look at other aspects of the maritime sector, how they can help to augment the gains that this process will bring. And number one, if you go to the ports and see the state of the road infrastructure, you know that the gains you make from the customs, from the e-customs can be eroded unless the challenges of the infrastructure are also addressed. Secondly, we need to also be aware that the maritime industry in the country has huge economic potential if properly tapped. For a country like us, about 200 million people with huge import and export opportunities, we do not participate in the affreightment of any of the cargo. So all our imports are carried by foreign ships. All our exports, liquid and dry cargo, are carried by foreign ships. And now the huge employment opportunities in that sector of the maritime and shipping industry, which the country is not involved in at all, is massive. I think if that is brought in also, that will help the economy. And of course, the other knock-on effect of trying to grow the opportunities by way of developing a new fleet of Nigerian ships that will create jobs. You also have the supporting industries like the maritime infrastructure, ship repair yards, shipbuilding yards. Job creation in that sector is mammoth. So the maritime industry, we've done well, but I think we can do better.
What has been your experience being the former president of the Ship Owners Association of Nigeria as far as trade is concerned? One of the reasons for the customs project, one of the mandates is to move along and turn it into an automated customs business, make it paperless, etc., and so forth. What has your experience been?
Well, I will speak specifically about my experience. Now, my ships work for the oil and gas sector. The last ship we built in China 2 years ago, when bringing that ship to the country, because it's a Nigerian ship owned by a Nigerian company, we had to pay full importation duty and other costs, which amount to about 14% of the cost of the ship. Now, that singular ship cost us about $18 million to build. Now, if you take our foreign counterparts who are in the same business with us in Nigeria, when they are bringing their ships into the country, because they are foreign ships, they bring them on temporary importation. And they post just 1% custom bond to bring their ship in. So you can see that from the beginning, the Nigerian is in a disadvantaged position because we are all competing commercially on the same terrain. And you find that it became a challenge for Nigerians to actually be competitive when it came to tenders. The customs duty is not the making of the customs organization. It's a law. And therefore, if you're going to change that law, it has to go from the legislative angle. We have to review our tax laws to make it attractive so that the sector, the maritime and shipping sector, can be contributing more to the GDP of this country.
What you're saying, in effect, is that the indigenous investors in the maritime industry don't get a fair shake as far as the business is concerned, but foreigners do.
Yes, absolutely. And then when they do get a share, it's at a higher cost than it is to the foreigners. If you were to buy a tanker now to carry a Nigerian crude, and you were going to the international market to compete for the rates of carriage, you'll be more expensive than your foreign counterparts because of your duty. So what most of the other countries do actually is to allow things like duty waivers, as long as you are registering that ship in the Nigerian class registry, flag register, and other tax incentives to make you obviously competitive. But here we don't have that yet. We need to address that. So, but it's not something that falls on the domain of the custom. It's something that falls on the domain of the government. It's a socio-economic thing that needs to be looked at a multi-ministerial level.
It's a policy thing. It's a law thing.
It's a policy and a law thing that needs to be changed to help the system. But right now, we're not maximizing the opportunities in the maritime sector at all.
We'll take a break. We'll be right back and come back to continue to talk about this issue. You're watching State of the Nation. Please stay with us. Yeah, welcome to State of the Nation. It's cherry news in the maritime sector as they gear up for a new system that will scrap the long queues of trucks presenting problems across the roads in Apapa and the other ports as well. The MD of the NPA, Hadiza Osman, dropped the good news, which she explains will be in partnership with some stakeholders. Let's take a listen to this and other issues raised by the MD.
So when you look at solution one is we have intermodal transportation, splitting it across rail. Two, within the Lagos area, we need to have e-collop systems and truck parks that are designated for inflow into the port. So what I mean is when you have trucks on the road, our idea is you have e-collop. The only reason why the truck would be on the road if it has been called up to go and pick up a cargo. So you don't have trucks milling around the port locations. Right now, truck drivers drive to the port locations and they're there for days. And in a lot of instances, they're there marketing the fact that, oh, my truck is a day to the port, so come and give me cargo. So we must have an e-collop where the truck parks are linked to the port location. So the truck can only start going to the port if it's called upon. So that sort of e-collop deployment is what we need to do. We've concluded that in January, we're going to unveil the e-collop system. We're in partnership with, we're using one of our terminals as the entry point. Lily Pond would be where the trucks would have the final clearance into the port, while Lagos State Government is providing larger trailer parks within Lagos for it to be the hub where trucks will sit and wait for clearance to go into the port. So that would create a level of sanity where the whole area is not congested and people are milling around. Within the Papa area, I'm sure you're aware, we also have the tank farms. There's an incident where the Owando tank farm caught fire. So there is that area of petroleum products also going into Apapa. So we have layers of, one, the port entrance, two, the entrance for petroleum products within that area. January is when we will unveil the e-column. When will the truck park that Lagos State government would provide to enable the larger mop-up? So if you understand, there's a large trailer park where like 1,000, yes, they're using Orile trailer park, which they say would be ready in 3 months. Orile is the Ahmed Bola Tinubu trailer park, would be the hub where the larger trucks would come. You drive from there when you're called upon, you come to Lily Pond or Tinkan Island trailer park, then you gain access into the ports and outside. So quickly speak to the issue of overtime cargo and the need to auction. That's an integral part of the concern we have. Cargo come into the ports and they're not cleared and they remain uncongested. So when you abandon it for whatever reason you have, the cargo is to be moved out of the port to a government warehouse where Nigerian customs would auction it. So the challenge we have now is that the government warehouse in itself is full. So Nigerian Customs Service needs to now auction those cargo to enable more of the overtime cargo being moved out. When we have meetings with the Vice President, because he's the chair of the PBEC, Presidential Council on Ease of Doing Business, is the need to sanction non-compliant agencies. So to the extent that there's a directive, an executive order, which speaks to the need for having one single interface for inspection. So what it says is all agencies of government, you do one inspection. And once you've cleared that cargo, nobody should stop the cargo again. But in this instance, we have continuous incidences where cargo is inspected in that one stop. Once it gets to the gate, it's inspected again. When it gets to the road again, it's inspected again. So my position to the Vice President and to Ease of Doing Business, you must sanction for non-compliance. If a directive is given, an executive order, and an agency just does not do that. There are quite a number of agencies that do that. For example, you have Nigerian Customs Service retains having an inspection at the gate. They retain having a highway patrol. Nigerian Customs references that as the fact that it's part of their act. This is their justification because we've had those extensive back and forth on the need to reduce it. They said that their act allows them and enables them to do inspection wherever they deem fit. They also reference the fact that there are certain instances of arrests that they've made of illegal goods that were done within those inspections that they do outside of the one-stop shop. So there are all these, I'll say, submissions that are being made. But indeed, we must ensure sanctioning for compliance and non-compliance.
And with us is the former president of the Ship Owners Association of Nigeria, Mr. Greg Ogbefu. Thank you for staying with us on the program today.
Thank you.
Is she barking up the right tree?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Diza Balausman is a very, very proactive, sound executive leader of a very important agency of government. What she is trying to elucidate, particularly when it comes to the customs issue, is what I also agree with. The custom would tell you that what they do is backed by the Customs Act. So it doesn't matter what we say, the custom cannot change from what they do, whether it is having the positive effect or not. The act necessarily needs to be reviewed to conform with current realities.
You're saying that the legislation that supports, sets up the entire maritime industry and customs needs to be revisited?
Yeah, I mean, within the maritime sector, for instance, there are a lot of acts. You have the Cabotage Act, you have the NIMASA Act, you have the MPA Act, you have the Maritime Academy Horon Act. You have all the agency acts, Nigerian Shippers Council, NIWA, for instance. So you need to look at how old these acts are. When they were enacted, the situation then and what is prevalent today. You'll find from our sector, for example, I was privileged, for instance, to be in the ministerial committee that was put together by the Honorable Minister of Transportation, the Right Honorable Chibuke Rotimi Amechi, to reposition and restructure the Maritime Academy, Oron. When our committee commenced, the first thing we asked for was the act establishing that institution. And we found out that the act was 38 years old and had not been reviewed once. So some of the people, for example, who were recommended to be in the governing council of that institution and establishments are no longer in existence. So the current reality is not being backed up by the old act, and that is applicable across board. If you look at the Customs Act, which I continually say that the customs can't do anything about it until you go to the government, maybe to sponsor a bill to amend the act to correct some of the anomalies that we noticed, like she's just observing. Yes. We won't get very far. Beyond that, let's come also to the issue of the duty. By act, the customs is supposed to collect a full duty on the various products.
You're talking about car import duties,
car imports,
etc.
Ship imports,
yes,
and goods imports now. It's comforting to hear government by fiat give waivers. The government has the policy right to do that, to give waivers to certain duties. What did Ghana do? When Ghana noticed that their private sector was struggling, the middle class, the employment that was being generated by the private sector was diminishing because of the difficulty in doing business. They got together to review what can be done. They realized that they needed to tweak their tax regime, reduce the tax burden on the companies and the industry. They will grow capacity, employ more people, and plow back from taxes paid by the employees to compensate from the tax reduction.
Coincidentally, that's what's happening in the United States with the Republican Party and the Republican administration right now, where the tax is going down so that the people can do business
more and easier.
Yeah.
And we need to do that in this environment. But at the same time, you find the customs will tell you that they have a target. The government has said, look, we must generate so many trillions in a period of time. That's their target. So they wouldn't want to hear you talk about reducing duty. Whereas in the shipping sector, we know that the burden of duty is stopping the establishment of Nigerian global trading ships because of the uncompetitiveness due to the tax burden. So if you reduce the tax or review the tax downwards on the duty, and you can get more Nigerian establishments, private, public, or even public-private partnership to now re-establish a global trading fleet to replace the old Nigerian national shipping line.
Finally, give us your parting shot on the Nigerian maritime industry and going forward to 2021.
The Nigerian maritime industry has huge economic potential. If properly harnessed, can actually generate and contribute more to the GDP of this nation. Now, there's huge opportunities. We have to re-establish our national fleets to get involved in our global trade and affreightment of our imports and our exports cargo, both dry and wet. And then, of course, enhance the re-establishment of a fleet that can train Nigerian seafarers. Right now, they're starting on ground training Nigerian seafarers. We are the old generation. Since the demise of the Nigerian National Shipping Line in 1995, we have depended wholly on foreign ship owners to carry our cargo. And it's a very pitiable situation.
Yes, that sounds like
to be corrected.
an anomaly.
Big anomaly.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much
for coming on State of the Nation today. And also, we hope that the customs project succeeds in what is geared towards. The FEC approved $3.1 billion to establish this project. So we hope that at the end of the day,
absolutely, it will help the nation.
Help the nation.
And
that's where we leave it on the program today on State of the Nation. Mr. Greg Ogwefu, the former president of the Ship Owners Association of Nigeria, on the program today. I'm Olumide Macaulay. Thank you for watching. See you next time.